Hey there, everyone. This is Chris McDonald, and I've got Mike Clark along with me from Junction 311. We're going to be going over a lot of ins and outs of running a timing business and how Mike got started. But before we get into it, we still have a handful of people joining, as always. As timers, some of you guys don't show up on time. Wave my finger at you. I'm joking. If you've not used GoToWebinar before, which I see most of the names on the list, and I think most everybody has, but just in case, you'll have the GoToWebinar panel on the side, and you have the ability to ask questions. I've got Matt Avery on, who is kind enough to be answering your questions. And if it's a really good question or something that Matt thinks that we should float out to everybody for discussion, then he'll pipe up and let me know, and Mike and I will discuss. So feel free to ask questions at any point. This is being recorded. We will send out the recording. If for some reason you want some additional information about things that Mike and I chat about, feel free to check that recording out. It'll be on YouTube, and I think a link goes out via email as well for all of you that signed up. So it looks like our attendees have kind of stabilized, so I'll get going slightly here. So again, we've got Mike Clark. This is Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hello, hello.
And just a brief background, I'm gonna let Mike talk a little bit more. Mike is out of the Greensboro, North Carolina area, and he has an event management and timing business. He started out of the Tri-Cities area in North Carolina, and we're gonna be talking about growing a timing business, expanding into event management, which actually Mike started on the event management side and moved into the timing side, and then how he has addressed current changes with the industry. So with that being said, Mike, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the industry and how you came to the timing side of things.
Okay. Well, we started as an events company in 2013 when we acquired 5 races from another local Greensboro company. But we had met them and known them for a while. I didn't get into running till later in life. Did 5Ks, 10Ks, and finally built up to half and full marathons with the Team and Training organization. Probably a lot of you are familiar with them. Great organization, raising money for leukemia and lymphoma. Still work with them a little bit over the years. So we started putting on, even before we got into business, we did, starting in 2010, I believe, a 5K called Hit the Bricks. It's still going on today, and we still time it, manage it, and all that to raise money because people got tired of me asking. I loved Team and Training and kept doing events, and friends and family got tired of me asking for donations. So we got into the business, and the timer we hired, he kept saying how he liked the time, but he hated dealing with the event side of the business, and so kept saying, you want to buy it, but never. And finally, 2013, he called me up. I'm ready to do this. You want to buy it, Mike? And I was like, sure. So we got into it. He continued to do my timing and for several years. Then he got out of the business, sold out. We started working with one of his timers, still not timing ourselves or anything, and just slowly migrating. Started about 2016, 2017. Where we started learning timing, and we were doing enough events. We figured, well, even if we just time our own events, it's going to save us money. So we started doing that, and then people started asking us, and so we just kind of went from the event side, which we're really pretty good at, and just feeling our way through timing, learning, and then we all know about COVID, and then we've restarted since then. Now we own or manage about 18 events. Of course, we time all those, and then an additional 15 to 20 of clients that we have in terms of timing. So it's been a up and down battle all the way, but now since COVID, and I hope many of you are experiencing the same thing. 2023 has been a good year. We're back to at and above, in many cases, 2019 levels. So it's a good ride, and we're looking for a bright future.
Cool. Excellent. Well, and I know you've been successful in your growth out of the event management side into the timing side. What are some of the lessons that you've learned and any experiences that, you know, that really highlight the timing side of things, or how growth in your business has really gone, or some things that really has made a difference in the growth of your business?
Well, both sides of the business, and starting on the event side, learning to deliver, what you say you're going to deliver, being punctual, being on time, so to speak, starting your races on time, making sure you start your events on time. And I got a great team that now handles most of that, and they're much better at than me at it, so they take care of that. So it's really looking at what folks want and need. And on the timing side, we continue to learn this lesson. Sometimes we forget is really leveling up expectations with the client, making sure they know what you're going to do. You're expecting them to do certain things they're expecting, so that those expectations are mutually agreed upon. So that's a couple of things that have occasionally bit us, and we have to relearn that lesson. But I really want to focus on that, just delivering what you say you're going to deliver, and they understand the expectations. When you meet their expectations, that really helps a lot, and they sing your praises.
Sure. And would you say that, I mean, you just mentioned, making sure everyone's on the same page with expectations and things like that. Are those all outlined now in your contracts that you're getting with events?
Yes, we do. It's like you said, an outline of it, and we're trying to refine that, improve that. And then we have a timing services manager that she's awesome, and she has developed or in the business for both of our event side and side what we call an event brief that we prepare ahead of time. That's much more detailed document that we share and make sure internally that we got it right, and then with the client that everybody agrees on what's in that event brief. So it makes life a lot easier on race day.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that we do something similar, and I think that's a great idea. Are there any other things that you're currently doing that you would, pass on and think that others should be doing?
Again, going back to leveling up the expectations, that's the biggest thing, and making sure things are done on time when everybody expects it. That's the key things
Yeah.
in terms of making sure people are happy.
Yeah. Well, and you also mentioned that you had a great staff. This is like doesn't matter if you have a timing company or an event production company, or probably just a company in general. I think everyone would say that staffing can be a problem, finding great staff. So how have you been successful on that front? What avenues have you found staff, and what are you looking for when you go out to looking to hire?
I don't know if we have a specific path of we always look here, but we've been very fortunate. I've always reached out. Most of our staff are runners. We actually, I think, have officially one of our newer timers now. She's not a runner, but she likes tech, so she's fine with that. But we started out a long time, several of our staff on the event, and they can go back and forth between the event side and help out in the timing world, have been with us most of the way. Our lead marketing person, and who's always doing our announcers, and Nikki Popovich at our races. She's been with us 8 years, and a couple of others, 4, 5, 6 years. So it's reaching out to the community. They in turn know friends and have reached out.
Sure.
And occasionally when we're looking for somebody, we just blast it out. And again, got lucky a couple of years back with we have our best timer now. She's a nurse of all things. So turns out she's a cardiac nurse. So you know how stressful it can be on race day. She says, well, that's a walk in the park compared to, you got somebody's life in your hands. So that's going to the medical field. That's something we learned. It's like, maybe we'll start recruiting nurses, you know. So we've just been fortunate. We've got, you know, you're hiring good people, you know, and then they reach out and find other people for you. You know, we've done that as well. Again, in the medical world, the same person has reached out to a couple other newer timer trainees that we're bringing on board.
Awesome. Well, that's a great thought about the you know, finding an industry similar to ours in terms of stress level, because that is one of the hurdles for a lot of folks getting into timing, is that it's abstract that it would be so stressful, but it's definitely an acute stress on race morning. So that's without question on the table there. So speaking of timing, oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but just an anecdote there. A couple of months back, I saw a list of this top stress level jobs. It was like airline pilot, combat soldier. I forget what the other, I mean, event planner was like the fourth from the top of stress levels, and it was like, well, this is bizarre that this is, you wouldn't, all these other things are life and death, and here we are. But when you got to deliver in the moment, it gets very stressful, as we all know.
Yeah,
I thought that was interesting to actually see it on a list intermixed with all those really high stress, what I would consider super high stress jobs.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. We found similar to that, I guess. We have a number of folks in the military that have come over in similar stress relationship there.
Yeah.
So what products? I mean, this is a RunSignup interview. So what RunSignup products are you using presently for the event production timing side of things? And what do you think are adding the most value to your business?
Well, of course, we got to know RunSignup because of the RunSignup software registration, everything about that. Loved it. And just another thing I didn't mention in my intro, my original background was software development, web developer, you know, that tech world. So back in the day, you know, some of the other platforms were not up to snuff with what we wanted. So I took off and I actually wrote a registration system myself that I used probably the first year to 2 years of our existence. And then it was like, well, am I running a software company or running an event business? And then I found RunSignup and was like, well, they're already addressing and fixing all the things that I wanted to do. And so I just closed off my software business and went full throttle on RunSignup. So we've been very happy with on that side of the business since then, as I've been pretty much full-blown race day scoring since day one in timing business. Did some early on with our hardware is race result, so we used that a little bit early on, or one of our timers did, but now race day scoring, check-in is huge. We use that all the time, and now more and more doing dynamic bib allocation as part of that product. So we really use most of the full suite, and just the sweet spot is it just integrates so tightly that makes life really easy.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So we kind of drove this conversation as growing a timing business and expanding and things like that. So I'm going to kind of turn in that direction a bit. And so in your business, do you have any partnerships that help you bring in additional events or additional revenue, or is this all something you're doing in-house at this point?
Well, partnerships I guess in the terms of, and probably most of you already do this, if you don't, I highly recommend it, is getting to know your local running stores real well and partnering with them. We've always done a good job of that on the event side. And just from the nature of doing that, we've gotten multiple recommendations of timing jobs strictly by having that relationship.
Mhm.
And some of our sponsorship relationships and that they spread the word for us. So it's really a matter of forming partnerships on whatever level makes sense for your company. Again, with the event side, if you've got sponsorships with companies, working with local running companies, it's all very helpful in terms of, as long as you're doing a good job, the word gets spread. Word of mouth is the best way to go. So we've probably gotten more of our newer clients simply by word of mouth than any other way.
Sure, sure. Do you have um, any tools that you're currently using? I mean, I know that when we have these roundtable discussions at our symposiums or conferences, timers really like to try to dive into how other folks are running their, like, the actual day-to-day business. Very few timers, came out with a business degree, and so they're laterally entering the timing world and then laterally entering the business ownership world. So do you have any maybe non-timing specific, but tools that you use to support your business, such as, accounting software or project management software or things like that? Like how are you running your business?
Well, accounting side, we use online accounting called Xero, Xero. Great system. We do all of our billing through that for our timing clients and our sponsorship for the event side. Great package. Probably QuickBooks does the same thing. But if you're trying to do all that manually, which I tried to do in the first couple of years because I thought I was smart, don't do it. go get a package like that. It really helps out a lot. And one thing we've started doing in the past year that I highly recommend, check out something called Airbase, and it's not a database or anything like that. It's actually a financial company, and we've converted all of it to expense management and converted all of our credit cards and everything over to that. They do a Visa card and all that stuff. Makes life so much easier in tracking expenses and it connects right into Xero, and really saved a ton of time on the accounting and just the back end, the messy stuff that most of us don't like to do. So I highly recommend them. That's really helped us out a lot. Where we're trying to get better ourselves is on the project management side. Again, I've got some really good RDs. Our lead RD is amazing, Johanna, and she tracks it mostly right now in just spreadsheets, to be honest. But we're working on a project with Monday.com to start moving most of our events, and we're going to actually start on the timing side, our timing events, with our timing services manager to use that. So once you get a bunch of events, and especially when they're overlapping and things need to be done, for 5 different events in 1 week, having some type of software that merges all that and tracks all that is really beneficial.
Yeah, and I've heard a number of other timers event management companies using Monday.com. I think some other ones out there are Asana and Basecamp.
Yeah.
What else? Smart Sheets or something like that, I think.
Yeah, there's one called Rike, WRIKE, I think, that does that.
Yeah.
And we started with Asana a few years back. For whatever reason, it didn't work out for us that great, maybe a little more complicated. Monday seems to be a little more straightforward and clean. So I think it's going to work out much better for us.
Gotcha. Well, excellent. Any other tools that you guys are using out there to help streamline your timing company?
At the moment, no. We just did a big office move. We upgraded our office space, so that was
Oh,
one thing.
nice.
If you can do that, especially as you add on timing jobs, we used to have a tiny, tiny little office with a separate storage space, and now we have office space with an actual small warehouse. I mean, literally in the past 2 weeks, we did our move at the end of June, and it's already making a difference with a couple of races we've done. It's just so much easier when you got space and you can. We're not even organized yet, but we're getting there.
Nice. Well, I mean, on that front, how I know a number of people have looked and are kind of trying to figure out that balance of maybe they're working out of a home office and storing things in a garage or storage units or vehicles, and are maybe looking to make that move. What was the process for you in regards to going on the search for? It sounds like you're leasing, or you may have purchased the unit, but what was that process like for you?
No, we are leasing. I just started looking online. There's a couple of trying to think. I've lost the name of it, but if you just go, Google for LootNet, that's the company I
Yep,
was thinking about.
LoopNet
Loot,
is a big one.
that's how I found several different ones, and I called around of looking, and the challenge is, and you just have to be patient because we had our other space, and I looked back then because I really wanted this and just couldn't find anything that. It's a small space. I mean, including warehouse, it's 1,500 square feet, so it's not
Right.
huge at all for a business. But we were much tinier before. But there isn't a whole lot of, in our area anyway, there's not many places. So you have to dig around and look around a lot and just be patient. But looking, going and searching, and I think there's another Rex Ulti or Rex something or Ulti that's similar to LoopNet. Is just looking in those and calling, and those things. Unfortunately, a couple of those things they're not always up to date. So you just have to be persistent, look around, look at the areas you want, know what you want. It's not, you're not going to find exactly what you want, and just keep looking around, and you find something that doesn't have to be built out, so you don't. One way or another, you're going to pay for it. Either if you're going to get a build out, you're going to pay for it immediately, or it's going to be wrapped into your lease. We were able to get a really good price on this, where the space, they painted and cleaned up and everything, but didn't redo it. So it works. It fit our needs really well. So it's just
Awesome.
being patient and persistent.
Great. Well, and I'm going to pause for one moment just to see if there's any questions, Matt, that we need to float out there.
Nothing's came up yet.
All right. And again, guys, don't hesitate to ask questions if you have anything because again, some of you are specifically timers and are maybe you own an event, or maybe you're looking to branch into event ownership, or some of you might be event owners and timing. And again, Mike's been very successful. What's your largest event at this point? I know we were talking earlier, and you have a few event in the thousands. So is the Charlotte event your largest?
It currently, for now, it is the largest, but it's probably going to fall to number 2 next month. And it was a little
Hopefully
over
that's a positive, because another one is growing so much.
Exactly. It was just over 1,800. We've got one coming up in Atlanta next month that's already over 1,700. And the way it's tracking, we'll crack over 2,000 on that one.
Congrats on that. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And so for those of you that are in event ownership or timers that are looking to expand your business, you said that you have an in-house marketing person. Are they solely focused on growing your owned events, or are they also doing marketing campaigns for Junction 311 services for contract events?
The vast majority of it is for our events, but also a few events we manage them almost like we own them. And so we do wrap some marketing services into that. We aren't strongly marketing it outside that to just our timing clients, just mainly get back to that staffing and that type issue that our marketing, we've got a new person, part-time person working for the manager now, and they only have so much time. So, like I said earlier, we own 14 events in what I call Junction 311 North, and then we actually have a separate company that mainly I'm involved with, and occasionally bring resources from the North down in Florida, where we own 4 events down there. So it's just focusing on our events for the marketing side takes up all of their time.
Gotcha. And is it mainly at this point social media marketing, or are you also doing like Google ad buys and any print marketing out there?
Well, we're not doing the Google ad buys, though. We've done a little bit, and we've discussed that. Lots of social media on Insta and Facebook, and then locally we're concentrated in the Triad area, and they're Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point. They are essentially one city. If you look at it, they're really close together. So they are doing a lot of great grassroots type marketing in the arena with run clubs, and as everywhere, brewery run clubs have gone berserk. So we're involved, helped found a few back in the day, and involved in quite a few. And so events like that where they go out and promote and do things. So they do a great job of that.
It's awesome. So in terms of your timing business, how many timers do you have on staff?
We have a total of
full-time or contract.
We have, well, I'll just go and everybody right now usually has enough time to work most any event that pops up for us. We have 3 people who could, and that one of them is me, but we have 3 people who can go time an event by themselves with just some labor to help them move stuff around. I consider 2 of me and one of the others as lead timers that are really comfortable timing any size events. One of our other timers comfortable smaller events. She's fairly new, just started in the spring. And then we have a timer trainee that so it'll be a total of 4. Hopefully by the end, mid to end fall, we'll have 4 people that can do an event all by themselves with some labor help, and then have another timer in the pipeline by then.
Gotcha. Excellent. So when you're, we have had a few questions come in just a moment ago. And I know every time we have these kind of discussions, there'll always be how much are you charging, and we're not going to get into that by any stretch, but more the concept of things, and that is what kind of, when you're offering your services, are you doing a lot of a la carte options, or are you always kind of packaging things together and keeping them combined for for pricing purposes?
We have been going more from more packaged to more a la carte over time, where we do, again, without giving numbers, we do a base plus X dollars per runner is how we bill or charge. So we do that, and that's just for timing, bring the finish line, that barricades, that type thing, and then start adding on, and a way to get results. And then we add on from there. Do you want us to manage the course? Do you want us to manage packet pickup for you?
Hmm.
And build back out from there on try
Hmm.
to sit down with them ahead of time. Part of it, again, the leveling up expectations is, what do you want us to do for you? In fact, we got a meeting this afternoon with a potential new client where we're going to be doing that. It's fairly decent sized race. We're hope we get that one. So yeah, that's kind of how we break it out. We've gone more toward the breaking toward a la carte, because there's people that just want you to show up in time,
Yep.
hand me with a report and go away, you know.
Yep.
And then there's other people, I don't know what I'm doing. I want you to do everything for me.
Gotcha. So with the side of it, you mentioned this afternoon, you've got a fairly large event that you're speaking with. Where are you prospecting these leads from, or are all of them just coming to you?
Honestly, right now they're coming to us, and
Hmm.
it's being part of, like, back, again, how we talked about partnerships and the way we've done it, and so much of just being involved in the community, being one of the bigger event production companies in the area, just certainly got our name out there.
Hmm.
Um, but another anecdote with that, we're also um, actively discussing internally to possibly change the name of the timing business, because you can't guarantee the experience external to your timing at another event. And if you go and you've got Junction 311 splashed everywhere on your blow up, and any kind of barricades and things like that, people assume it's you. And all these people, and they come to you and start telling you, well, they didn't do that. Wasn't right. This wasn't right. I was like, we didn't have anything to do with that. So that's just an interesting thing. I'm not saying we're doing it or not, but we're actively considering having, it'll just be a DBA. We won't go through the process of setting up a whole new company, but actually doing business as, a different named timing company than Junction 311.
That's a really interesting concept there. We've also spoken about that internally, because obviously, like you just said, when you're coming into time and you're also a production company, there's a lot of risk, because a lot of these folks putting on races, this is their first time. And if you're only being hired to throw down mats and put up an arch, is it really part of the package that you're making sure that they got all the permits, you can write it into the contract that
Yeah.
the expectation is that they have to do all these things, and they have to carry event insurance, and they have to do and name you as an additional insured and all that kind of stuff. But they don't always check all the boxes, and this is your livelihood. So we've discussed that at length about not so far as to do what you're doing about a new DBA, but basically whitewashing our brand off of things, which is hard because, like you said, how do you get all your leads? Word of mouth.
Yeah.
How do people know that you're there at the event? Well, it's because it's splashed everywhere. And the
Yeah.
flip side of that, the other edge of that sword, is when things don't go so well.
Yeah.
So it's quite the conundrum. I don't know if other folks out there that are listening in have any experience or any insight into how they're managing that piece of the puzzle. But it's definitely something that's been on my mind, and it's funny that you bring it up as well.
Yeah.
So, in doing that, are you going to rebrand other gear like arches and tents and fencing and things like that? So when they show up as just timing, that
Yeah, we would certainly, we wouldn't go out and spend a pile of money right at the beginning to rebrand everything. But as time goes on, and we're about to, one of our earliest arches, we're about to retire. It's getting a little worse for the wear. It's served us well. I don't know how many races, hundreds, I think that it's done. So, but you know, stuff wears out eventually. So that one's about to be retired. So replacing that with something with a different brand, or like you said, we have another arch that's just nothing. You know, it's just a black arch.
Right.
So we can
Right.
attach signs to it and stuff like that.
Gotcha. On that front, because a lot of timers are providing things like arches for events, do you have internal or external fans for most of your arches?
Both. Well, the one that we're about to retire is internal, and um, we also have a truss system that we've started. It's more work, but we like the way it looks at the
Mhm.
race, so we're starting to use that for our bigger races. And then our I forget, we have a specific arch for our race that's a themed race in Atlanta. It's an external, and the just generic one we have here is an external as well.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I only asked that because I have a lot of friends who purchased ones with internal fans, and the fans, usually the arch itself does not go bad. It's the fan that goes bad over time.
I've replaced it once, yes.
Yeah, and so it's harder to, like, with the external fans, you just buy a
Yeah,
new fan.
yeah.
For an internal fan,
Well,
sometimes it could be a little bit more
well,
challenging.
the beautiful thing about this arch, but it's also its drawback, it has feet on it, so you can actually just plug it in, it blows up, pops up,
So the
then
feet,
you just stake it down or weight it down.
yep.
But because it's got those feet that have a large surface area, slides around, and over 7-8 years it wears holes in the material, and that's what's
Yep.
starting to happen.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense. So I think we've covered a number of the bases, and I've started reviewing some of the questions that are popping up. So I know someone asked if you are including, like, what kind of, are you including support or website build out or things like that when you're coming in as just a timer, or is that part of your a la carte service?
Right now we do, and that is still bundled in.
Yeah.
But it's very generic. We don't get into doing a whole lot. If they want to get real complicated, we're going to build. But a basic, hey, what's the description? What's your prices? You know, something that's, if you're experienced with RunSignup, it's going to take you no more than 20-30 minutes, as long as they supply that information. Our manager there, Laura, has a questionnaire that she sends to the client to fill out to capture that information.
Gotcha.
So she can easily set them up and get going.
Are you doing that in Google Sheet or Google Docs, or are you actually sending out like Word docs and stuff like that, PDFs?
I think she's using Google Docs to do that.
Okay, cool.
Just a blank form, a form, and not
Yeah,
not
Google
a
form.
not a Google form, but more of a doc, but just the questions.
Right, right. That makes sense. Gotcha. Well, I don't know if any other questions have popped in. Matt, have you seen anything else that needs to be floated out?
I think you pretty much covered it.
Awesome. Well, I know one of the things, we did a questionnaire a while back to timers and said, hey, on our timer tip Tuesdays, what do you want more? And everybody said, shorter, not an hour. We don't have an hour. So this is perfect. Just over a half hour. And I think we covered everything. So Mike, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I
And
enjoyed it.
yeah, best of luck with your upcoming races. Hopefully both of those two big events start vying for the lead and you have a nice race.
I'm hoping a couple more get in the mix too, and then we got a couple others right behind it. So I like that.
There you go. There you go. Perfect. Well, I will end with next week. We will be doing a timer tip Tuesday on July 18th. And that will be at noon as always. This will be on, Matt Avery just released a blog today about the Race Day mobile timing app. There's a new release that's called Backup Mode. This is specifically for recording finish times and verification, and integrates in with Dropbox. So you can email the data as needed. It's a free product. And the idea is that it helps you use something like a phone or an iPad or an Android tablet as a backup timing device, and how to pull that into, how to use that through Dropbox to pull into scoring. So anyways, hopefully you guys have a great week, great races this weekend, and we look forward to chatting with you next Tuesday on the mobile timing app. And again, Mike, we appreciate it, and hope all of you have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Look, man, you can do this. As soon as they show, oh, actually, they're here now. Okay, take it away. Let them know. Thanks for watching the video. No, don't get too close to them. Just say thank you for watching the video. You can subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell and all if you want to see more. And don't forget to ask for that like. You could do this. I believe in you. Take it away. Well, we tried.